Ryan Howard. They called him the Big Piece in Philadelphia, and that he was. Ryan grew up a St. Louisan and a Cardinal fan. His trip from Lafayette High School to Missouri State University to the Batavia Muck Dogs to National League Rookie of the Year and the National League Most Valuable Player was a quick one. It was a fast track that few expected. He was the 140th player taken in the 2001 draft. He could have been a Cardinal. For the record, here's the players drafted before the Phillies selected Ryan: Justin Pope, Dan Herron, Joe Mather, and Josh Bree. Howard displayed stunning power in the minor leagues, so he was promoted to the majors in September of 2004. He was named the National League Rookie of the Year in 2005. Then he lit up the league in 2006. He hit the first home run of that season off the Cardinals' Chris Carpenter. He finished the season with a .313 batting average, 58 home runs, 149 RBIs. He became just one of 4 players in baseball history to win Rookie of the Year and MVP awards in consecutive seasons. In 2008, Ryan helped the Phillies win the World Series, hitting 48 home runs and driving in 146, including a day against the Cardinals when he hit 2 homers and drove in 5 in a 20-2 win over the Redbirds. His power numbers are staggering. He became the fastest player in baseball history to hit 100 home runs, the fastest to hit 200 home runs, tied with Sammy Sosa for the most National League seasons with at least 140 RBIs. During one 3-season stretch, Ryan hit 198 home runs and had 572 RBIs. Unfortunately, injuries took a toll late in his career, including tearing his Achilles tendon in the final play of the 2011 NLDS against the Cardinals. He played all 13 years of his major league career with the Phillies. Some things you may not know about Ryan: he played trombone in high school. He's been in several television shows, including the final season of The Office. He has co-authored 6 children's books. Earlier this year, he joined ESPN's Baseball Tonight crew. We wish he had been a Cardinal, but Philly fans are grateful that he wasn't. But we are honored to welcome one of the best sluggers in baseball history, Ryan Howard, to the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
This gentleman hit 58 home runs in a season. He hit 382 major league home runs. But I want to ask about the Red Lobster home run. You were 12, right?
Yes, I was 12 playing at Baldwin Athletic Association, and I think it was like field 2, field 3, something like that. And this kid just made a brutal mistake. What can I say? No, it was one of those things where, I just hit the ball, and there was the Red Lobster that was right there up off of Manchester Road. And I think it took like a hop and like bounced up and hit the Red Lobster. So it was the infamous Red Lobster home run.
Obviously, when you hit a home run like that, everybody takes notice. But when did you start to think, because obviously you hit at Lafayette, you hit at Missouri State. When did you start to think, you know what I'm doing, I might be able to do this at the highest level?
It was funny for me because my parents saw it at a very, very early age. I think probably maybe like 3 or 4. My dad said I used to stand in front of the TV and watch the games and kind of just imitate what I saw on television. So to him, it kind of set something off for him. But my mom used to tell me all the time as I grew older, like, you hit the ball further than the other kids. I never really thought anything about it. I just liked going out and playing. And I got to go out and get dirty and didn't get in trouble for it. So that was kind of my whole thing about going out and playing ball. But I think as I got older, probably closer to 12, 13, like between 9 to 12, and people saying like, "Oh man, you're pretty good," and I'm just well, whatever. Like I played all multiple sports, so
right. You're just going playing, right?
Yeah. So I didn't really think too much about it.
Yeah. Who helped you along the way, though? Obviously, your parents say they noticed something, but coaches or somebody specific that really made a difference in you making it to the major leagues?
Man, I mean, there were so many different coaches. I think for me, obviously, my old summer ball high school coach, Darren Spink, was somebody who was definitely big in me being able to make it, because once I went off to college and came back, he was always willing to work with me. It was, he was always willing to put in the time. He always wanted to help guys that wanted to be able to help themselves, try to get better, and he was one of those guys that was always there.
And we heard earlier tonight about Max Scherzer, and he's told about how much going to college benefited him. What about you going to Missouri State?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that at that time, it's, everybody out of high school, you want to be in the major leagues right then, right there. You want that instant gratification. And as B. Gilkey knows, it's like I always tell people, you see the major leagues over here, and you're standing here, it's the mountaintop, but what you don't see is them bushes, the jungle that you have to go through in order to get there. So, for me, I felt that the best thing that ever happened to me was not getting drafted out of high school and winding up going to SMS, which is now Missouri State.
Yeah. And what was it like for you escaping that jungle that is the minor leagues? Because you hit pretty well in the minors.
Oh no, it's a great feeling getting out of the jungle. The air's a lot fresher at the top of the mountain up there. But for me, the road wasn't the easiest road. I remember 2000. I signed in 2001, and in 2002 was my first full season in Lakewood, New Jersey, which was the low class A. And the situation was the Phillies had just gone out and signed Jim Thome, so the fan in me was like, "Oh man, that's so cool!" They just signed Jim Thome, and then the player in me was like, "Damn,
right?
They just signed Jim Thome." So I had a decision that I had to make right then and there, to where it was, the goal is to get to the big leagues, whether it's with the Phillies or whether it's with somebody else. It doesn't matter what the uniform is. So once I was able to get there, it was a very gratifying situation.
Yeah, you get called up, play 88 games, win Rookie of the Year with 22 home runs in 2005. I thought it was interesting tonight. Pete Alonso hit 53 home runs for the Mets. He won Rookie of the Year tonight. If you would have played that whole season, maybe you don't hit 53, but looking back now, knowing what you know and what you knew then, what could you have done if you'd have played that whole season?
Oh, I mean, 40? Looking back, if I would have been able to, you just never know. I'm hoping that it probably would have been able to be, somewhere around that 40 mark. I knew that with the numbers that I had gone and put up, that I took advantage of the situation of what I had. Unfortunately, it came at Jim's getting hurt, but hey, nothing's guaranteed in that game. So whenever you get the opportunity, you have to make the most of it. Like I said, I'm not trying to go back into those bushes down there.
Right,
man.
exactly.
So I knew that at that time, I don't know how many teams have sent a Rookie of the Year back to AAA. So I knew that I needed to do what I needed to do, and thus winning that, it was either me going off somewhere else or the Phillies trading Thome. But at that point, again, the goal was get to the big leagues.
A lot of times there's a sophomore slump, but rather than have a sophomore slump, you hit a bunch of home runs and you win the MVP in 2006. You got even better in a hurry, didn't you?
Yeah, people talk about the sophomore slump, and I just looked at myself like, what is that? I don't even understand what that is. Like, I understood what I was capable of. I understood what I needed to do. And, 2006 was just one of those years where it was video game numbers. And I remember actually there was a funny time where there was a stretch where I think I didn't have a homer, and I went to Jimmy Rollins, my teammate. I was like, Jimmy, man, I'm kind of depressed, man. I don't know what's going on. I haven't hit a home run in forever. So, and then I think I went out and hit like 2 home runs that night. But it was just one of those things of just being completely locked in and dialed in.
And you're a broadcaster now, and I know you look at the game and say, man, I hope those guys are appreciating it. When you won Rookie of the Year, won MVP, then 2 years after that, you win the World Series. This is a whirlwind for a young player, even though you're a college player. And I asked Carol earlier, at her young age, did she appreciate what she was doing? Looking back now, did you savor that as much as you wish you would have?
You know what? You really don't. I mean, especially in the game of baseball, you have to be present. It's all about the now. So, you know, you don't really get a chance to really look back and understand. And I knew at some point where it's like, you know what? I'm busy trying to continue to compile. I want to win more championships and do whatever I can so that when I am finished, I can look back and say, wow, that was pretty incredible what I was able to do. And, you know, now being retired and being finished playing, it's being able to look back. And I can't even tell you how I've hit 58 home runs. I don't even understand that. But, you know, it's just one of those things to where looking back on it, it's just some of the things that you do. It's an amazing feeling.
One of the things, if Ryan was ever in a slump, that really benefited him was coming to hit at Busch Stadium. Man, you hit at Busch Stadium.
It's that get back.
Just like Bernard, huh?
It's that get back. You know what it is? People ask me, why is it that you hit so well in St. Louis? And I tell them, well, there's two things. One, the Cardinals didn't draft me. Two, this is where it all began for me. So the way I looked at it was, yeah, you guys are the Cardinals, but I grew up here, so technically you're in my house. You're in my home. So I'm about to show you what time it is in my home. So, you know, that was one of the things I think that playing here in St. Louis, I grew up, I played at Baldwin, I played at all the different ballparks. I went down to baseball games at Busch Stadium. I watched Bernard Gilkey play, all those guys, Ozzie, Vince Coleman. And so when I got the opportunity to go play there, it was like, you know, it was home for me.
And I remember being at your press conference the day of the Home Run Derby in 2009 at the AllStar Game. And so many players just, you know, it's great to be here at an AllStar Game. You were giddy because you were getting to play an AllStar Game here.
No, it was, I mean, I think whenever you can get the opportunity of being able to be in an AllStar Game, it's an ultimate honor. But then being able to be in an AllStar Game in your hometown, and it was even more special to me because of that same coach, Darren Spink. I had Darren throw to me in the Home Run Derby, and I didn't care the result. It was being able to share that moment with him because it was paying homage to him because he helped me so much in the growth and throughout my career being able to try to get to the big league. So I felt that was a really good way and cool way to try to show my respect for him and what he did for me.
There is a line in sports, I think it actually started with a Seinfeld show, that sports fans root for laundry. And I think one of the differences in St. Louis is that we love people. It's not just the laundry. And I know I was devastated, and I'm sure most of the people here, in 2011, at the end, you make the final out in one of the epic games of all time, that Game 5 NLDS, and you tear your Achilles. What was that like, being on the turf? And did you know what it was, and what was it like being on the turf as all of the Cardinals are swarming to the mound?
Initially I felt like when I hit the ball, I knew what pitch that Carp was going to throw me. He was going to throw me a little cutter in. I was like, I'm going to be ready for it. Hopefully I can hit it out. Top spin it, and then once I hit it, it felt like the bat hit me in the back of the leg. That's just what it felt like. So it wasn't anything, you know, really bad or really violent. I was like, and then I fell. I was like, oh man, you got to get up. You can't be tripping right now. You got to get up and run at first base. What are you doing? Because I thought the ball was in right field, but then the second baseman was feeling it once I got up, and that's when the whole shift situation started taking place. But then once I got back up, and then, you know, I kind of felt like the tingling sensation up the back of my leg. Yeah, I mean, it was tough. It was a tough situation.
Were you ever athletically the same after that? I know sometimes you feel 100%, but then you look back and you say, I never really got back.
No, you know, it's a very tough injury to come back from. You know, the strength and just the confidence in being able to put the weight on it and all that kind of stuff. But I never put any excuses or anything like that on my leg. I always felt that, you know, if I was able to be out there, I was going to give 100% of whatever it was that I had. If I was 65%, I'm going to give 100% of 65%. So to me, it was never really about my Achilles.
Finally, I always love, because Ron is right. He taught me pretty much everything I know about broadcasting. I love seeing young St. Louis guys make it into the broadcasting venue. As he mentioned, you're at ESPN now. How are you enjoying the broadcasting side of things?
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's keeping me around the game, keeping me up to date in terms of what's been going on. And, yeah, I mean, just kind of getting in and learning and understanding and just having fun with it. So it's been a great experience. I'm looking forward to doing it again next year and seeing what this offseason brings to a lot of these teams.
Beautiful. Hey, folks, if you can do me a favor, 1 week from tomorrow, Ryan Howard is going to turn 40. So if you can help me sing
here we go.
to Ryan, because we won't see him again before that. So 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ryan. Happy birthday to you. There you go.
Thank you very much.
And welcome to the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. We're thrilled for you. So well deserved. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.